Listen, I know what you are thinking. You are thinking that I, Vexer Hool, senior betting coordinator for the Grand Coliseum of Chronicles Prime, have seen everything, every species, every fighter, every desperate fool who thought they could survive 30 seconds against a Thorian war beast or a Clendithi razor swarm. And you would be right, until the day they brought in the human. Now, before you roll whatever optical organs you possess, let me clarify something. I had heard of humans. Everyone had. They were the new species. The ones who showed up about 15 cycles ago with their ridiculous metal ships and their even more ridiculous tendency to duct tape things together when proper repairs were too expensive. They ran cargo. They sold novelty items at space stations. They told jokes that nobody understood and laughed at their own punchlines. Harmless, adorable even. The galaxy collectively patted them on their soft little heads and went about its business. So when the warlord Krath, that bloated sack of ego and violence, announced he had acquired a human for the arena, the reaction was underwhelming. The crowd that day was sparse, maybe 3,000 beings in a coliseum that held 50,000. Most of them were there because they had nothing better to do, or because the ticket prices had been slashed to almost nothing. I was there because it was my job. I sat in my booth, all 6 of my appendages draped over my desk in absolute boredom, watching the odds tick by on my screens. The human was listed at 800 to 1, against a single Vrock render. A creature that stood 4 meters tall, had claws that could slice through battle armor, and a disposition that made rabid plague rats seem cuddly. 800 to 1. I had seen better odds on a Flibian slime mold in a fire pit. The announcement echoed through the Coliseum, tinny and desperate. Ladies, gentlemen, and honored guests of all species. Today we present a special exhibition match. A creature from the newly contacted species, a human, facing our beloved champion. The render. Beloved? Sure. If by beloved they meant nightmare fuel that had killed 46 fighters in the last season alone. The gates groaned open. Heavy, mechanical, dramatic. Because Krath never did anything without drama. The Vrock render emerged first, and I will give credit where it is due. The thing was impressive. Scales like black iron. Eyes that glowed with a sickly yellow light. It roared, and the sound vibrated through the arena floor, rattling my desk and making my beverage slosh in its container. The crowd perked up slightly. At least the monster was entertaining. Then the other gate opened, and out walked the human. He was small, compared to the render anyway. Maybe 1.8 meters tall, bipedal. 2 arms, 2 legs, wearing what looked like standard-issue prisoner clothing. Gray, ill-fitting, sad. His skin was a light tan color, with dark hair on his head that stuck up in odd directions. He had these tiny little eyes, brown, almost friendly-looking. He was not wearing armor. He was not carrying a weapon. He walked to the center of the arena with his hands in his pockets, like he was strolling through a market, and looked around with mild interest. The render roared again. The human yawned. I blinked all 3 of my primary eyes in rapid succession. Did I just see that correctly? Did this creature, this soft, squishy mammal, just yawn in the face of certain death? The render charged. Now, for those of you who have never seen a Vrock render charge, let me paint you a mental image. 400 kilograms of muscle, rage and pointy bits, moving at roughly 60 kilometers per hour. The ground shakes. The air splits. Lesser beings have heart failures just from watching. The human did not move. The crowd gasped. Several beings covered their visual organs. I actually leaned forward despite myself. This was going to be messy. 10 meters. 5 meters. 3. The human stepped to the side. Just stepped. 2. Beside. The render blew past him like a cargo hauler with failed brakes, its claws raking through empty air. It skidded, turned, bellowed in frustration. The human was examining his fingernails. His fingernails? Is he insane? The Kelthian in the booth next to mine asked, all four of his mouths hanging open. Undoubtedly, I replied. The render charged again, faster this time, angrier. It lashed out with both claw sets, a spinning fury of death that should have turned the human into a fine paste. The human ducked. Then he stepped in close, far too close, inside the creature's reach. And he smiled. Oh, that smile. I have thought about that smile every day since. It was not a nice smile. It was not friendly. It was the smile of someone who knows something you do not. The smile of someone who has already won and is just waiting for you to figure it out. The render paused, just for a microsecond, confused. The human punched it in the throat. Now I need you to understand something. The Vrock render has armor plating on its throat, thick, dense, specifically evolved to protect its vital airways. Punching it should have accomplished exactly nothing, except maybe breaking every bone in the human's hand. The render made a choking sound and staggered back. The crowd went silent. "What in the frozen hells?" my coworker whispered. The human shook out his hand, still smiling. He said something. The audio pickups barely caught it. Yeah, that hurt. Worth it, though. The render recovered quickly. It roared again, but this time there was something different in the sound. Not just rage. Confusion. Maybe even a hint of doubt. It attacked with more caution now. Feinting, testing, trying to herd the human into a corner. The human let himself be herded. Then, when the render committed to a full strike, thinking it had cornered its prey, the human dropped flat to the ground, rolled between the creature's legs, and came up behind it. The render spun, but not fast enough. The human jumped. Actually jumped, using the render's own tail as a springboard, and landed on its back. The render went berserk. It thrashed. It spun. It slammed itself against the arena walls, trying to dislodge the human. The human held on with one hand wrapped around a neck plate, and with his other hand, he started tapping the render's head. Little pat, pat, pat taps, like he was petting it. Like it was a domesticated animal. The crowd was on its feet now. All of them. The sparse 3,000 had become a roaring mass of disbelief. I was standing too. I did not remember standing. Get off. Get off. Finish it. Krath's voice boomed over the speakers. He sounded panicked. This was not going according to plan. The render finally managed to throw the human. It was a powerful buck, and the human sailed through the air, tumbling and hit the sand hard enough to raise a cloud of dust. For a moment, nothing moved. Then the human stood up. He brushed sand off his shoulders. He was still smiling. The render charged one more time. Full commitment. No tricks. Pure rage-fueled murder. The human ran toward it. No, 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 someone in the crowd chanted. They ran at each other. The distance closed in seconds. At the last possible moment, the human slid. On his back. Through the sand. Under the render's belly. And as he slid past, he reached up and grabbed one of the belly plates. The render's own momentum did the rest. The plate tore free with a sound like ripping metal, exposing the soft flesh beneath. The render screamed. It stumbled. It fell. The human rolled to his feet, holding a piece of armor plating the size of his torso, and walked over to the fallen creature. He looked up at Krath's viewing box. He waved. Dim. Then he dropped the plate and walked toward the exit gate. The render was not dead. It was hurt, bleeding, humiliated, but alive. The human had not killed it. He had just proven a point. The crowd went absolutely insane, cheering, screaming. Species I had never seen show emotion were throwing things and making sounds I could not classify. I sat back down slowly. I looked at my screens. 800 to 1 odds. 43 beings had bet on the human. They were about to become very wealthy. What did I just watch? My coworker asked. I have no idea, I admitted. That was 3 months ago. Since then, things have gotten complicated. See, Krath had planned for the human to die. Quickly. Entertainingly. Instead, the human became the single most popular fighter in the Colosseum's 500-year history. Every match sold out. Every fight brought in massive betting revenue. The crowds chanted his name, for Marcus. His name was Marcus Vale, and he kept winning. They put him against a Thorian war beast. He won by tying its own tentacles into knots, and they put him against a Clendathy razor swarm. He won by using a piece of broken barrier wall as a fan and blowing them into a containment net. They put him against 3 armed Gorlix warriors. He disarmed them in under a minute and then taught them how to juggle with their own weapons while they stood there dumbfounded. Every single time he smiled, and every time the galaxy held its breath. But here is the thing that nobody talks about. The thing that kept me awake during rest cycles. Marcus was not trying. I watched every fight. I analyzed every movement. This being, this human, was holding back, significantly. He never struck to kill. He never used full force. He fought like someone who was playing. Like this was all a game to him. And that was terrifying. Because if this was him playing, what would he look like if he got serious? I was pondering this exact question when my console beeped, an urgent message from Krath's administrative office. I opened it, expecting another ridiculous promotional scheme or fighter schedule change. What I got instead made my circulatory system freeze. Special exhibition match. 7 days. Marcus Vale versus the entire pit fighter roster. 20 opponents. Simultaneous deployment. This will be the human's final match. They were going to kill him. 20 fighters at once. No being could survive that. Not even Marcus. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I did something I had never done in my entire career. I bet against the house. I bet everything I owned on Marcus Vale. Because I had seen that smile. And I knew something everyone else was about to learn. Humans do not get nervous. They get creative. The next 7 days were a circus. The entire station buzzed with anticipation. News of the match spread across every network. Species from 6 sectors booked transport to Chronicles Prime. Hotels were packed. Restaurants ran out of food. The black market for tickets became so inflated that people were trading small spacecraft for entry. I spent most of those 7 days trying to get access to Marcus. The holding cells for high-value fighters were in the lower levels of the Colosseum. Heavily guarded, restricted access. But I had worked there for 20 cycles. I knew people. I called in favors. I bribed guards. I exploited every connection I had. Finally, on day 5, I got 30 minutes. The cell was sparse. Concrete walls, a sleeping platform, a sanitation unit. Marcus sat on the floor, legs crossed, eyes closed. Meditating, maybe, or sleeping. I could not tell. Marcus Vale, I said. He opened one eye. That is me. You are? Vexer Hool. I coordinate betting for the arena. Ah, the money guy. He smiled slightly. Come to tell me the odds? 200 to 1. Against you. Ouch. I bet on you anyway. Both eyes opened now. He looked at me with genuine curiosity. Why? Why? Because I have watched you fight, and I do not think you have been trying. He laughed. It was a warm sound. Genuine, smart. What do you want, Vexer? Information. How are you doing this? Your species is new. Weak, according to every evaluation. No natural armor. No significant strength advantage. Moderate speed. You should be dead. Marcus stood, stretching his arms over his head. His joints made small popping sounds. Want the real answer or the one that makes me sound cool? The real one. All right, Humans are not the strongest, not the fastest, not the toughest, but we are really, really good at one thing. What thing? Adaptation. Problem solving under pressure. Every predator on our homeworld was bigger, meaner, better equipped than us. So we got creative. We learned patterns. We exploited weaknesses. We turned every disadvantage into a strategy. He walked to the wall and leaned against it. These fighters? They are strong, fast, deadly, but they follow patterns. The Render always charges straight. The Thorians always use their tentacles for grappling. The Gorliks always aim for center mass. They do what evolution taught them, what their training reinforced. And you? I do what they do not expect, every time. I considered this. You are going to fight 20 opponents, simultaneously. Yep, you will die. Maybe. You do not sound concerned. He grinned. That smile again. Vexer, my friend, let me tell you a secret about humans. We do our best work when things look impossible. A guard appeared at the cell entrance. Time is up. I turned to leave, then paused. Marcus. Why are you here? Really? You could have escaped a dozen times. The security is adequate but not perfect. Why stay? He was quiet for a moment. Because everyone is watching. Every species. Every world. And they all think humans are soft, harmless, cute little traitors who tell bad jokes. After this fight, they will never think that again. Even if you lose. Especially if I lose. Because even in losing, I will show them what one human can do. I left the cell with my mind spinning. 2 days later, the arena filled beyond capacity. 70,000 beings crammed into every available space. The betting pools had swollen to numbers that made my calculations hurt. This was the single largest event in Colosseum history. I took my position in the betting coordinator booth. Every screen showed camera angles of the arena floor. Empty. Waiting. The announcer's voice boomed. Unnecessarily dramatic as always. Citizens of the galaxy. Today you witness history. The human Marcus Vale faces his final challenge. 20 of our finest fighters. No rules. No mercy. This is ultimate combat. The crowd roared. 20 gates opened simultaneously around the arena perimeter. Out came the fighters. Renders. Thorians. Gorliks warriors. Clendathi swarms. A Vexian stone crusher. A pair of Zithian blade dancers. A Quarian toxin breather. Things that gave me nightmares even on recording. 20 of them. Forming a circle. Then the center gate opened. Marcus walked out. Same gray clothing. Same casual stride. Hands in pockets. He looked around at the circle of death surrounding him. He tilted his head. And he smiled. The crowd fell silent. Marcus took his hands out of his pockets. He cracked his knuckles. Then he spoke, and somehow, impossibly, his voice carried through the entire arena. All right then, who is first? Everything happened at once. The fighters charged. All 20. A wave of claws, blades, tentacles, and teeth. Marcus did not run. He waited until they were close. So close I could see their breath on the arena floor cameras. Then he dropped flat. The fighters collided with each other. 20 bodies trying to occupy the same space. It was chaos. Beautiful, perfect chaos. Marcus rolled between legs, tentacles, and stabbing implements. He came up behind the Vexian stone crusher, grabbed one of its leg joints and pulled. The massive creature toppled forward, crashing into 3 others. Marcus was already moving. He kicked sand into the eyes of a Thorian. It thrashed blindly. He grabbed a Clendathi out of the air mid-flight and threw it at a Zithian blade dancer. Both went down in a tangle. The Gorliks warriors tried to surround him. He let them. Then, at the last second, he dropped and swept all 3 of their legs. They fell like dominoes. One of the renders got smart. It hung back, waiting for an opening. Marcus saw it, made eye contact, winked. Then he ran at the render, not away. The render swung. Marcus ducked. The claws missed by centimeters. Marcus punched the inside of the render's arm joint, the same way you would hit a pressure point. The arm went limp. The render howled. Marcus used its body as a springboard, launching himself at the Quarian toxin breather. He landed on its head, grabbed its breathing tubes, and redirected them. The creature started choking on its own poison. This continued for 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Marcus turned 20 fighters into a comedy of errors. He used their size against them, their strength against them, their numbers against them. He fought like water, flowing, adapting, never stopping. And through it all, he kept smiling. By the 15-minute mark, half the fighters were unconscious or disabled. The other half were exhausted, confused, and frankly looked like they wanted to be anywhere else. Marcus stood in the center of the arena, breathing hard but still standing, still smiling. The crowd was beyond words. They were making sounds that transcended language. I was hyperventilating. All 6 of my appendages were rigid with tension. The remaining fighters looked at each other, then at Marcus. Then they did something unprecedented. They backed away. They refused to continue. Marcus had not just won. He had broken their spirits. The announcer did not know what to say. For the first time in history, the arena was silent. Then Marcus raised both hands. Victory gesture. Human style. The crowd exploded. Not just cheering, screaming, crying. Species were embracing each other. Money was changing hands so fast my systems could not track it. I collapsed in my chair. I had just witnessed the impossible, and I was now spectacularly wealthy. But the day was not over yet, because Krath appeared on the viewing platform, his massive form shaking with rage. His voice boomed over the speakers. No, this is unacceptable. The human was supposed to die. Guards, execute the human. Now, 50 armed guards poured into the arena, energy weapons raised. The crowd went silent again. Marcus looked up at Krath. He was not smiling anymore. Really? Marcus asked. His voice was quiet. It's dangerous. You want to do this? You have embarrassed me enough, human. You die today. Marcus looked at the guards, then back at Krath. Then he said something that would echo through every news network in the galaxy for months. Okay, but just so we are clear, I was being nice before. He took a step forward. I have lived a long time, seen countless fights, witnessed every form of violence the galaxy has to offer. But what happened next? That changed everything. Marcus stood perfectly still. 50 guards surrounded him in a tight circle, energy rifles charged and ready. Each weapon could punch a hole through reinforced battle plating. 50 of them aimed at one unarmored human. The crowd held its breath. 70,000 beings, completely silent. Marcus tilted his head, looking at each guard in turn, slowly, deliberately. Then he spoke. Calm, almost conversational. You know what the problem is with energy weapons? Nobody answered. They have a charge-up time. 0.3 seconds. Not much, but enough. One of the guards, a Kravith enforcer, snarled. Shut up, human. You die now. Maybe, Marcus said. But before you pull those triggers, ask yourself something. Do you really want to be the species that murdered an unarmed fighter in front of 70,000 witnesses? After he won? Fair and square? The guards hesitated. Krath's voice boomed again. I gave you an order. Fire. Marcus smiled. Small, sad, almost. Wrong choice. What happened next took exactly 4.7 seconds. I know because I checked the recording 17 times afterward. Marcus moved, not fast by superhuman standards, but fast enough, and more importantly, smart enough. He dove toward the nearest guard, inside the firing radius. The guard tried to track him with the rifle. Too slow. Marcus grabbed the weapon, twisted, used the guard's own grip against him. The rifle fired, not at Marcus. At the guard 3 positions clockwise. That guard went down. Marcus was already moving. He used the first guard as a shield, spinning him into 2 others. They collided. Fell. Marcus took the rifle, disabled the safety lock with a quick sequence of button presses that should have been impossible for someone who had never used that weapon model, and threw it like a spear. It hit another guard square in the chest plate. Non-lethal, but enough to knock him out. 4 guards down. 4.7 seconds. The remaining guards opened fire. Marcus was not there anymore. He rolled, ducked, weaved. Using the fallen guards as cover, energy bolts scorched the sand around him, turning it to glass. The arena filled with the smell of ozone and burned air. Marcus came up behind a cluster of 5 guards. He struck pressure points, nerve clusters, weak spots in armor joints. Every species has them. Marcus seemed to know exactly where. 5 more down. The crowd was making sounds I had never heard. A mixture of awe, terror, and disbelief. I was gripping my desk so hard I left dents. 10 guards remaining. They formed a defensive line. Professional. Coordinated. Marcus stood up slowly, raised his hands. I surrender. The guards paused, confused. Just kidding. He grabbed a handful of sand and threw it. The cloud caught the light, became a blinding wall of reflected glare. The guards fired blindly, hit nothing but air and each other's shields. Marcus moved through the chaos like a ghost, every movement precise, economical, no wasted energy. Another 5 guards went down. 5 left. These 5 were smart. They backed away, created distance, kept their weapons trained but did not fire. The lead guard, a Vorthian captain, spoke. His voice shook slightly. Human, stand down. Please. Marcus stopped. He looked genuinely surprised. Please? He repeated. This is wrong. You won fairly. We all saw it. Krath's order is unlawful. The other 4 guards lowered their weapons slowly. The crowd erupted. Not cheering, something deeper. A rumble of approval that vibrated through the entire structure. Krath's viewing platform shook with his rage. Traitors. All of you? The Vorthian captain looked up at Krath. No, my lord. We are loyal to the law. To honor. Not to murder. Marcus walked over to the captain, extended his hand. Human gesture. Peace offering. The captain looked at the hand. Confused. It means friendship, Marcus explained. Trust. The captain slowly reached out with his primary manipulator and grasped Marcus's hand. They shook. The crowd went absolutely insane. I was crying. I do not cry. Ever. But water was leaking from my visual organs, and I did not care. Krath was screaming incoherently now. He was so angry that his translator could not keep up. Just raw, primal rage sounds. Then something unexpected happened. The arena's main doors burst open. Not the fighter gates, but the public entrance. 50 humans walked in. They were not fighters. They were wearing civilian clothes. Mechanics, traders, dock workers, the humans who lived on the station, who worked in the markets, who told bad jokes and fixed broken equipment for too little pay. They walked in formation, quiet, determined. They formed a line between Marcus and Krath's viewing platform. One of them, a female with short red hair and a scarred face, stepped forward. She looked up at Krath. You want him? You go through us, Krath laughed. Actually laughed. 50 more humans? You think that changes anything? The woman smiled. Same smile as Marcus. No, but the 3,000 ships in orbit might. Every screen in the arena flickered. Changed. Showed the space around Kralix Prime. It was filled with ships. Human ships. But not cargo haulers. Not trading vessels. Warships. Actual military-grade warships. Where did they come from? When did humans build a fleet? These were questions everyone asked later. In that moment, we all just stared. A new voice came over the arena speakers. Deep, authoritative, human accent but speaking perfect galactic common. This is Admiral Helena Frost of the Human Defense Fleet. Warlord Krath, you have violated 17 interstellar laws, enslaved a citizen of the Terran Republic, attempted murder in front of witnesses. You have exactly 5 minutes to surrender yourself to galactic authorities, or we start making holes in your station. The arena was dead silent. Krath's face went through several color changes. Purple, green, gray. He was calculating. I could see it, weighing options. Pride versus survival. Pride lost. Fine, he spat. Fine, take your human. Take all your filthy humans. Get off my station. Admiral Frost's voice again. Not how this works. You are under arrest. Peacefully or in pieces. Choose now. Galactic Authority ships appeared on screen. 6 of them. Heavy cruisers. They had been hiding in the human fleet formation. Krath slumped, defeated. Security forces entered his viewing box, led him away in restraints. The crowd did not know how to react. This had gone so far beyond a simple arena match that nobody had a reference point. Marcus walked over to the line of humans. They parted, letting him through. The red-haired woman hugged him. Hard. Took you long enough, Marcus said. We were waiting for the right moment, she replied. Dramatic entrance and all that. Good timing. We know. The Vorthian captain approached carefully. Human Marcus. I apologize for all of this. You should never have been here. Marcus shrugged. Honestly, kind of fun. Terrible situation. Probably traumatic. But the fighting part was fun. You are insane. Yeah, probably. Over the next hour, everything unfolded rapidly. The Galactic Authority took control of the station. All prisoners were evaluated. Those who had been enslaved or forced into fighting were freed. The actual criminals? Processed for trial. The human fleet remained in orbit, watching, waiting. I sat in my booth trying to process everything. My fortune had quadrupled. I was wealthy beyond measure. But somehow that seemed insignificant compared to what I had witnessed. A knock on my booth door. Marcus stood there, still in the gray prison clothes, still smiling. Vexor. Got a minute? For you? Many minutes. He came in, looked at my screens, whistled. Wow, you made out well. I bet on you. Smart move. I had a feeling. We sat in silence for a moment. Can I ask you something? I said. Sure. When you said you were being nice before, were you serious? Marcus looked at me. The smile faded slightly. Sir, humans spent 2 million years evolving on a death world. Everything tried to kill us. Weather, animals, diseases. Other humans, we survived by being stubborn, creative, and absolutely unwilling to quit. What you saw today? That was me being careful, restrained. If I had actually wanted to kill those guards, it would have taken 30 seconds. He paused. But here is the thing. Humans do not want to be killers. We want to be builders, explorers, friends. We will fight when we must. We will fight hard. But we would rather tell jokes and share food and fix broken things. The galaxy misunderstood you. Yeah, but now they know better. They will fear you now. Marcus shook his head. Fear is temporary. Respect lasts. We did not come out here to conquer. We came to be part of something bigger. We, today, just established that we are not going to be pushed around while we do it. He stood up, extended his hand again. I grasped it. We shook. Thanks for believing in me, Marcus said. Thanks for making me rich, I replied. He laughed. Fair trade. Marcus left. I watched him go. Watched him rejoin the other humans. Watched them leave the arena together. The next day, the news networks exploded. Every channel. Every frequency. The story of the human in the arena spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Aliens were divided. Some species declared humans too dangerous to interact with, closed their borders, banned human ships. Most species, they reassessed, started treating humans with genuine respect. Trade agreements were renegotiated, on equal terms this time. Humans got seats on councils, voting rights in assemblies. The galaxy had learned a lesson: never mistake kindness for weakness. 3 months later, I received a message from Marcus. Marcus. Hey, Vexer. Hope you are enjoying your wealth. I am back on Earth, doing a speaking tour. Turns out getting enslaved and fighting in death matches makes you famous. Who knew? Anyway, if you are ever in the Sol system, look me up. First drink is on me. Thanks again for the faith. Stay safe out there. Marcus. I smiled. Saved the message. A year passed. The arena on Chronicles Prime was shut down, converted into a museum. The human conflict, they called it. People came from across the galaxy to see where it happened, to walk on the sand where Marcus Vale fought 20 opponents and won. I gave tours sometimes, told the story, every detail. People always asked the same question. Was he really that good? And I always gave the same answer. He was better than good. He was human. 5 years after the incident, I attended the Galactic Unity Summit. Every species sent representatives. It was the biggest gathering in recorded history. Humans had a prominent delegation. Marcus was there, older now, small scars on his face, but the same smile. We had lunch. Talked about everything and nothing. Do you ever miss it? I asked. The fighting? Marcus considered this. Took a bite of some unidentifiable food item, swallowed. Sometimes. The clarity of it. One problem. Clear solution. Simple. But I like this better. Talking. Negotiating. Building bridges instead of breaking bones. This is harder. Takes longer. But it matters more. Wise words. Nah, just old words. I am tired, Vexer. That is the truth. Fighting takes a toll, even when you win. I understood. Battle scars are not always visible. We finished lunch, said goodbye. Promised to stay in touch. I kept that promise. We messaged regularly, shared stories. Jokes. He taught me some human idioms. I taught him some Vexian profanity. Good times. 10 years after the arena incident, I retired, moved to a quiet moon with excellent weather and cheap real estate, wrote my memoirs. The chapter about Marcus Vale was the longest. 15 years later, I heard Marcus had become an ambassador, an official human representative to the Galactic Council. Nobody was surprised. He had always been good at making enemies into friends. 20 years later, he retired too. Moved to some human colony world, grew plants, raised small domestic animals, lived peacefully. We still messaged. 25 years after the arena, I was invited to Earth. First time ever. Marcus wanted to show me around. Earth was beautiful, chaotic, loud, crowded, filled with life and energy and possibility. Marcus gave me the full tour. Cities, oceans, mountains, museums. We visited the place where humans first achieved spaceflight, saw the monuments to their history, their wars, their triumphs, their mistakes. On the last day, we sat on a beach. watched the sun set over an ocean that stretched forever. "I never thanked you properly," Marcus said. "For what?" "For seeing me. Not as a curiosity, not as a weapon, but as a person. That mattered. You made it easy. Still, thank you." We watched the waves for a while. "Do you think it made a difference?" Marcus asked. "The arena. Everything that happened." "Yes. Absolutely yes. The galaxy changed that day. Humans went from being ignored to being recognized. As equals. As allies. As friends. Good. That was the point. Was it worth it?" Marcus smiled. That same smile from the arena. The one that stopped the galaxy breathing. Every bruise, every scar, every moment of fear. "Yeah, it was worth it." The sun dipped below the horizon. The sky turned colors I had never seen before. Purple, orange, pink, gold. Beautiful. We sat there until the stars came out, and I thought about everything. How one human, one fight, one moment of defiance had rippled across space and time. He had changed alliances, shifted power, rewritten history, all because Marcus Vale smiled in the arena and refused to die. That is the story, the true story, the one I lived through. People still argue about the details, what really happened. How much was skill versus luck? Whether the human fleet was planned or coincidence. I do not argue. I was there. I saw it all. And I know the truth. Humans are not the strongest species, not the fastest, not the most advanced, but they are stubborn, creative, adaptable, and absolutely terrifying when you threaten them or those they care about. They are also kind, funny, generous, quick to forgive, eager to help. They are contradictions, paradoxes, impossibilities made flesh. And they are exactly what the galaxy needed. Marcus passed away last year, natural causes, old age, peacefully in his sleep. The funeral was attended by representatives from 300 species, presidents, emperors, warlords, scientists, artists, regular people whose lives he touched. I gave the eulogy, told the story one last time, made people laugh, made them cry, made them remember. At the end, I said something Marcus once told me: humans do their best work when things look impossible. The crowd stood, applauded. For 10 minutes straight. Later, at the reception, the red-haired woman approached me. Older now, gray in her hair, but still fierce. "Thank you," she said, "for remembering him properly. How could I forget? Many try. History gets sanitized. Stories get simplified. But you told it true. It deserved truth." She smiled. "He liked you, said you were the first one who understood. I was lucky to know him. We all were." I left Earth the next day, returned to my quiet moon, my peaceful retirement. But I still think about Marcus Vale every day, about that smile in the arena, about the moment the galaxy stopped breathing, about the day humanity announced itself to the stars and said, loud and clear, "We are here. We are soft and small and strange, but we are not weak, and we will not be ignored." That message echoed, still echoes, will echo forever. Because on that day, in that arena, one human stood against impossible odds, and won. Not with strength, not with weapons, not with technology, but with stubbornness, intelligence, creativity, and one absolutely terrifying smile. The galaxy learned its lesson. Never underestimate humanity, because humans do not fight fair. They fight smart. And they always find a way to win. This is my story. The story of the human who smiled, who changed everything. Remember it. Tell it to your offspring, your students, your friends. Let them know what happened when the galaxy made the mistake of thinking humans were harmless. Let them know about Marcus Vale, the human who smiled and stopped the galaxy breathing.